Hello, hello. Ron Callis here with another episode of Automation Unplugged. It is Wednesday, September 15th. It is just a little bit after 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope I am coming through to all of you crystal clear. I know that Shawn, right as he and I were chit-chatting before we went live here, he said my video was starting to pixelate. So if you guys will, in the comment section of Facebook and or LinkedIn, just first of all, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're out there. And if you are, let us know where you're coming to us from. And am I pixelated or am I coming in clear? Let me know that as well. That'll be greatly appreciated. It does look like I see some people already giving us thumbs up. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Troy. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And let me just verify that all looks like it's working. Then we'll bring in the guest of the day. So let's see here. Yes, it looks like we are streaming live on Facebook. And Jessica is giving me the message. It looks like we are all clear. All right, wonderful. Well, I can tell you guys, I don't mind sharing. We're super busy here at One Firefly. The summer is often kind of a bit of a slower period for us here, where a lot of our customers, a lot of our team will take vacations and take a little bit of time off. And my son just went back to school last week, and I know many of you, your children probably went to school in the last several weeks. And so I think we're kind of getting back to business as usual. And we know it here because inbound calls, emails, inquiries are going bananas, which is cool. And what else? One Firefly proudly just launched our Josh AI marketing collaboration. So that's all over the socials. Definitely check out One Firefly on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and you can read more about that and learn more about it. But we're excited to be partnered with Josh, which is these are exciting times. And we have more exciting collaborations that we'll be announcing soon. So stay tuned for all of that goodness. But we are here for show 187 of Automation Unplugged. And I'm here. I'm excited to bring you my guest. If you've read the show notes, you already know who it is. But I've actually wanted to have Shawn on many occasions, and it's been a matter of syncing our schedules and making it work. And you are all super lucky because it's happening right now. And that is I'm going to be interviewing Shawn Hansson. He is CEO and founder of industry award-winning firm Logic Integration. So let me go ahead and bring in Shawn, and we'll see if technology is behaving, and we'll have some fun. Shawn, how are you, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
And our audio is working. It seems everything is good so far.
Yep. And I do have this sign in case you mess up, Ron.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, please do tell. What is that from? When did you know to get that? Was that a gift or did you buy that?
No, we bought these for everybody at the office during COVID because, as you know, there was a lot of learning curve doing all the audio and video conferencing either from home or from the office at the desk. And so I bought them for everybody because we had the select few, I will keep nameless, who were always on mute as soon as we hopped on a Zoom call.
And so for our podcast listeners, they don't know what you are holding up. So why don't you describe what you were just holding up to the camera?
Yeah, so you can buy these on Amazon, shameless plug. And it's basically a popsicle stick sign that says, thank you, and you're on mute. So the joke was the same two people at Logic Integration who were always on mute. Every time we got on our weekly Zoom call, everybody else would hold up the signs and it became kind of a thing. So we love it. And actually, those people who were always on mute, we bought them T-shirts. It just says you're on mute, and they hung them up, in their offices behind. So it's kind of a fun conversation. They were both salespeople, by the way.
No surprise there. No surprise there. Shawn, are you guys zoomed out? How are you guys feeling about all the video conferencing?
Yeah, we're definitely zoomed out. We really love being in person. We love the collaboration that happens in the office. So we've been back in the office, and we were doing a rotation. We kind of had an A group and a B group, and we would do every other day. We even made like a CAD drawing and a map, and who was supposed to be in and who was supposed to be not in. And but yeah, we're back full time in the office. I love it. It's exciting to see everybody.
So for those that do not know you, why don't you give us just a quick summary on kind of your business, Logic Integration? Where do you guys operate? What type of projects do you guys do? And what is your day-to-day role in the company?
Sure. So Logic Integration, we're based out of Lone Tree, Colorado. So we're about 20 minutes south of Denver. And we do commercial and residential. We started doing pretty heavy commercial in 2008. So we've been doing commercial a lot. Our mix, a lot of people ask, what's your mix? How much commercial and residential do you do? So we're about 60-40 in 2021. So 60% commercial and 40% residential. We also have a service department. So we're very heavy into service and support contracts and reoccurring revenue. So we use Parasol on the back end for that. And then we actually have our own staff that we have on call every single week. And we're doing production homes all the way to custom homes. And then on the commercial side, we don't just do light commercial, we actually do heavy commercial. So we do a lot of boardrooms, conference rooms, NOCs, so network operation centers. We do work for federal, state, city government. And then, Fortune 500, 100 companies, of course, doing huddle rooms or cuddle rooms, I like to call them.
Right.
Conference rooms. And, the hybrid model is very popular now. So once offices started opening back up, which some are still not even open, and they're opening next month, we're getting a lot of calls to, hey, we really want to do training, but we want some people in the office, but we want some people at home. So that's a pretty everyday cookie cutter system that we're doing.
I have. And what's your day-to-day kind of role? Do you sell? Are you busy running the vision for the company? What do you see yourself doing day to day in a typical day or week?
I wish I could spend full time on, vision, mission, core values, kind of driving all that, but I'm in the trenches a little bit. So I am, as a goal of mine this year was to spend more time with customers. So I'm out with sales team, engineers, spending time with customers, trying to provide solutions for everybody. Mm-hmm. I started out in the field as a technician, hardly knew anything. And so I love the technical part. I love being out there, problem solving, things like that. But really, sales and marketing is what I spend most of my time doing. And then on specialty projects, I'll help with ideas and engineering, things like that.
Let's go back in time. Where do you come from? What was the background that brought you here to the present running this successful business? Go back as far as you feel comfortable. Go back to elementary school. I don't know, the womb, wherever you want to go.
All right. So I grew up as a musician. So I was a band geek. I did sports too, but I was definitely a band geek. So playing piano and drums, grew up as a musician. And then I eventually got into computers and I had a recording studio. My first job was at Sizzler. My second job was at Office Depot. You're like, well, what does that have to do with anything? I sold cell phones, fax machines, like the thermal kind where you had like the roll, super old school. Flip phones, I got $20 commission every time I sold a flip phone. And then computers. So a long time ago in Los Gatos, California, I worked at Office Depot and it was almost closing time. And the owner of a home theater company came in. His name was Joe Paris, if you're out there. he came in and said, hey, I've got a bunch of computers at my office and I really need help hooking them up. Can you help me? So after hours, I came in, hooked up his network, which, was in 1996. It's cutting edge, baby. Got it all hooked up, got his printers hooked up. And he said, hey, do you want a job? And that was my first job. So Los Gatos Home Theater out in California, the Bay Area. Worked there for a while, went through the .com days, which was a lot of fun. Did some really awesome projects. Gentleman by the name of Jeff Crawford was my old boss. He taught me so much of what I know now. I was in the trenches with him, running wire underneath houses and attics, hitting my head on nails, saying some choice cuss words.
Did you rotate through all the typical jobs in an integration firm, or did you kind of gravitate to any one role?
No, I really covered them all. I was a technician. I managed projects. I learned programming. I eventually learned Crestron programming, and kind of rotated through it all. Did sales. So eventually, 9/11 came, and I was still working out in the Bay Area, and I was a touring musician. I took a year off from my last year of college, and I went and toured and played drums and met my wife, who's a singer. We still play together today. And we just didn't want to be a slave to the lender out in California, and we wanted to buy a house. So I was interviewed by a couple companies out in Colorado, and eventually one of them flew us out here. We moved out here, and I worked for a couple very dishonest companies here in Denver. One of them is no longer around. Actually, both of them are no longer around. And I had a bunch of customers at those companies say, hey, Shawn, go start your own thing. We'll send you the business. We'll send you the business. So I was fired from my last company, that the last person I ever worked for since I started Logic. I was fired for being honest, I like to say. So I was told to put in used AV equipment and not tell the customer. And it bothered me. And I came home to my wife, and so I finally, the next day I went back to work. I was in a big house, 15,000 square foot house. And I'll keep the customer's name out of it, but he asked why his speakers weren't working in his brand new house. And I said, you've got some amplifiers that are used. And I was fired that day. I was fired that day. Yeah.
Did you raise the objection when you observed that your boss or manager was advising you to put in used equipment? Did you?
I did. And you know what? I'll say this. So full circle, that person owns a furniture company called Furniture Row. His name's Barney Visser, and we now do the Furniture Row stores.
Wow.
And it came full circle. He actually didn't reach out to me later on. We actually ended up getting that account, and we did their new 95,000 square foot showroom just recently.
Wow.
And so it's funny how things come around full circle. But that's how I started Logic. I just was a technician. I had to learn how to run the business. So there's a book called The E-Myth out there, and you're either a technician or you know sales and marketing and finance. And I was the technician, so I had to learn how to run the business, and it was very expensive. It was excruciating, and I learned the hard way. I wish I would have gone to business school, right, and learned it all. But there's a lot of people in our industry that have done it.
How did you come to terms? And I'm going to say you were married at this point. How did your wife think about you going from having a paid job and a paycheck and thinking that you probably could join another technology firm if you wanted? You probably could have gotten another job the next day, but you said, no, I'm going to jump off the cliff and start a business. Like, how'd you get there?
There is, as many of you know, there is so much trust with our customers and our technicians. The relationship that's formed is tough for a salesperson to do. It's even tough for an owner to do sometimes. And I had that trust and that relationship with some of our customers, and they really did trust me. And so when they needed upgrades, or they expanded their home, or maybe they bought a condo downtown, they called me and they trusted me. And, it wasn't that I was going to price gouge them and take advantage of them and all that. It was, they knew that I was fair. and then I would give them a fair price, and that the bid I gave them wasn't inflated. It wasn't a cost, but we just had this trust thing going, which, you know, we still try to do this day. But I don't know. I just had a gut feeling. I pray personally, and so I prayed about it, and I felt like that was something that I needed to do. So I told my wife, our 2-bay garage in Parker, Colorado, it's turning into a warehouse, baby. Your car's not going there anymore.
That's awesome. Were you the classic trunk slammer for the first year or two, or how did you see yourself? And by the way, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. No. I'm saying you ran your business out of your garage, and many people in this industry did and still do.
I did. However, I didn't have a trunk. I had a hatch.
You had
it was a minivan.
Right.
It was a minivan. So the last company I worked for, they refused to buy company vehicles. So I had a Grand Caravan, 1996 Grand Caravan, and that was my install vehicle. And so between that and the garage, that's where I ran things. And then eventually I rented a StoreQuest unit, 10 by 40, and then I rented another one next to it. And then a tech and I, we actually got into the electrical, the lights that were in the storage units, and we ran a J-box so that we had power in the warehouse.
Okay.
I got photos.
You do what you got to do, right?
That was our warehouse. So, you know, both units, I think, were $600 a month. It was beautiful. I mean, I had 800 square feet of warehouse. And then I've got pictures of my little home office, and we did the garage. And then I sold my personal truck and the minivan, and that's when I got my first actual commercial cargo van, GMC Savannah. Changed the stereo out, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Did you put in an Aspen, or what was it? What would have been the hit? Alpine. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it was an Alpine.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Was it? The one that with a removable faceplate?
Yes.
Of course.
Did I ever remove it?
No, probably no. What year was that?
What was it? That was 2003.
That was 2003. And you started with no employees, or did you start with, like, you also had someone else like working with you, or you were on your own?
No employees. And then a couple guys from my church and the youth group came, and we started pulling wire together. And then while they were pulling wire, I was going and visiting any new construction sites in Denver. I had a friend who was a graphic designer. He did stuff for BMW and Apple, and he's really good. And I had him make me a brochure that made me look way bigger than my company was.
Marketing can do that for you, can it?
Yes, it can, Ron. Good plug.
Yes, it can, yeah.
And then I hired a call center to answer all our calls. And marketing, accounting, sales, procurement, guess where they all went?
To your cell?
This guy.
Would you like to speak to accounting? Press 3. They all went to Shawn.
Yeah.
That also makes you sound bigger, doesn't it? That's in fact, that's marketing. If you know, when you call a place and you got all these departments, wow, they must be pretty legit.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds crazy, but that's really what I did. And that's what I was told to do by people who were way better at marketing than me. Is no one wants to hire. Okay. Most people don't want to hire a 2 or 3 man company to put $100,000 of stuff in their house. I mean, it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
And, I roll up in my 96 Grand Caravan with my laptop. I mean, the joke is, like, we've had a fancy showroom before. We have a nice facility now, but the joke is I sold $1 million out of my laptop. I didn't have a showroom. I just tried to build a nice website, have some good materials. And I mean, even now you look at our website, you guys did our website. It's phenomenal. It's gorgeous. We take the work we do and give it to you guys, and you give us the canvas, or I say we give you the canvas, and you paint it with your projects, and your projects are stunning, and you capture your projects. And so, actually, if you don't mind, I'm jumping a bit, but that's an important concept. Somewhere along the way, you knew
to actually capture your projects. And you know that so frequently we as marketers here at One Firefly, I get every excuse under the book, and I'm just trying to help my customers, but I get told 97 reasons why they can't capture content. When did you decide that you knew you needed it? And then how do you actually do it? How do you get the other party to comply?
And it comes in waves, right? You know, busyness can take over. It's hard to shoot every project. It's hard to coordinate the time, the client. You know, there's this sweet spot when, at least for residential, when a home is built, where it's new and the landscaping's fresh, and you know, there's not Cheerios and kid boogers all over the house. The touchscreens are all gross. Right. So it's hard to hit that window, but we've really tried to plan in advance and have the conversation. You know, hey, you really enjoy what we did for you. Can we share your story without your name? And that's kind of how we stage it. We actually just shot a project last week with cameras and drones and all that. It's a really nice Crestron home project. I know.
This was your excuse to buy a drone, wasn't it?
So funny thing is, I have a drone. I have shot our own material, but we are now outsourcing all the filming and photography. It's just another level. I mean, those guys do it all day long. They shoot 3-4 a day. So I'm in a CEO group here in Denver, and one of the CEOs owns a media company here, and they're just phenomenal. I mean, they got the big drones that can pick up children, that carry, you know, DSLRs, the big cameras. That stuff looks good. That material, the footage they catch, it's incredible.
Yeah, we just did a shoot for a client in Oklahoma, and there was two $9,000 drones on site. You know, the first one, the second one was in case the first one crashed, and guess what? The first one crashed in a tree. And they brought the second one out, and they kept going. Wasn't my liability. We hired the right people, and they had the right insurance. Thank God. That's funny. So what, from those early days of your business, Shawn, what's a story, a war story that you're super proud of, where you went against the impossible and you found a way and you learned, maybe picked up some lessons along the way?
Well, those of you who've known me out there have probably heard this story before. There's two. So I think in 2015, 2014, we did a Doomsday Bunker. We put over $1 million of AV in it in the middle of Kansas. That was probably one of the most difficult projects we've ever done. It was massive. It was a 14-story building underground. I think it was $2 million a floor to purchase. And it's one of the largest Doomsday Bunkers in the world. And it took us over 2 years to do that job. But you want to talk about a pain in the ass to run cables in a concrete building that's underground, and to deploy a team that's 7.5 hours away from our office. It was hard. It was strenuous on the company, and it was strenuous on the employees and their families, but we pulled it off. That was number one.
I'm attempting, by the way, over here, I'm looking this way because I'm attempting to go to YouTube and pull it up, because I know this video. I've seen it, and it has like a bazillion views.
Yes, it's called Survival Condo.
All right, I'm going to be
Google Survival Condo.
All right, I'm going to be attempting to put that on screen for at least our video audience, but yeah, please continue.
So the second project we did, which we don't have a video, is we grew a lot in size and revenue and all that stuff right around 2012 to 2014, 2015. And we were hiring salespeople, and things were moving, and it was all good. But one of our sales folks, who happened to be our top salesperson, got a bid request for the U.S. Army, which we have done work for all over the nation, and we've done offices and, you know, secure skiff rooms. Yeah, there it is. Pause that project story. So yeah, this talks about the Doomsday Bunker and what was involved. It is big. It had $150,000 of Kaleidoscape in it. They had servers in it that would store Google data for 2 years. It had 30,000 gallons of filtered diesel and generators and a rock climbing wall. You know, that's Larry. That guy is a brain. He's such an intelligent person. He was the mastermind behind this.
Is he the customer?
No, he's the customer. He's the developer.
Oh my God.
But he spent almost 10 years planning this. That's Bill. He helped design everything and kind of led the relationship. Hi, Bill.
Yeah. And do people live in this thing, Shawn?
Some live in it full time, and then some visit from all over the world. So they're actually building a second one. They've already started construction.
And is this the idea that people would live in this and this would be their house? Or is this like, all right, if the zombie apocalypse is happening, you head to Kansas and you punch your ticket?
It's a little bit of both. So some people do live there, but most visit it. They have a condo already in Aspen or Vail. They've got a place, you know, on the beach somewhere. But why not have it's an old missile silo, Paul. That's exactly what it is. It's an Atlas missile silo.
That's amazing. Yeah. So Paul just posted the question. He's asking if that was a missile silo. Yes. Yes. It was.
Yeah. So it was tricky to distribute a large Crestron system in a building like that with all conduit and surveillance. They had a command room, or they do. I mean, it's still there. They have 3 or 4 full-time security guards at that place. There are people who try to break in there as a joke and a challenge. Yeah. So
now there's no, this is showing what it would have looked like with a missile. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some progress footage in there. So we actually, Crestron flew out and filmed this with us. They did a nice job. So, you know, George Felstein, before he passed away, we actually got to talk to George about this project. It was a very exciting project for him. He was really, really interested in this. And, you know, his wheels are always turning. He was always thinking of ways to build better products, and super passionate guy. But yeah, I got to sit and talk with George about this project. It was incredible.
Did George make it out to this? Did he make it out to the site?
He did not. No, he did not. But the Crestron film crew will never forget it.
Yeah, that's pretty darn amazing. Well, thank you. And so you were jumping into a different story when I rudely put the video on the screen.
Story 2. Don't fall asleep, you guys. One more story. So story 2 was I showed up for work and we got a purchase order. It was a massive purchase order for a project for the U.S. Army. And I'm like, sweet, you know, we won a project from the Army. All right. Later on in the day, my procurement person comes back to me and says, hey, Shawn, you big dummy, this project is in Amman, Jordan. I'm like, what?
You didn't know that when you bid on it?
No, I did not know that. The salesperson knew that, but we were growing fast. We were busy buying the vans, expanding space. We leased another 7,000 square feet. You know, things were moving and grooving. So we got a purchase order. My salesperson signed a contract. We needed to do the job. Like, we're committed. There was a cancellation fee. So long story short, we built 2 massive planar video walls, RGB spectrum controllers, 52 zones of biamp, Shure microphones. And now I can say that the NDA is over, obviously, it's a while ago, but it was for the Syrian war, for the U.S. Army working together with the Syrian Army. With the Jordanian Army. And so our team built it. We actually had to build it all here. We had to video it working, decommission it, ship it out. And we actually put some guy's cell phone number on all the crates, and it went right through customs. Never questioned. Went out there. Our guys went out there for 2 weeks, commissioned it, programmed it. Our programmer programmed it in the middle of the night because of the time difference. And I flew out there for the last 4 days, and went and looked at the project. I mean, you talk about being proud of your team. Like, to pull that off. I would never do it again. And keep in mind, I won't say how much money it was, but we fronted all the money for the project.
Why?
We
That
paid
was the
for all the gear.
terms. That was the terms of the
The,
PO.
the terms of the PO were net 60 or net 90.
For
So
the
you want to talk
entire
about
project.
yeah, you want to talk about it as a business owner. You want to know your ass is on the line. That was pretty scary. And you can't call anybody for payment. You only can email. It's all over secure email. And if you Google the location of the building, even, you know, back then the building was not there. It's gone. And now they actually tore it down. It's gone again. So the cool thing is I got to go to Petra. I got to go see Petra. So after, you know, working 18, 20 hours a day, twice in a row, because it was all hands on deck to get it done. We actually decided, instead of sleeping and taking our time to the airport, we drove all the way to Petra. We ran through Petra, up all the canyons, came all the way back, and went straight to the airport.
Is Petra the location? Now, those that are listening or watching, they're Googling this. Is that the place where you see that I want to say it's
Indiana
where you see
Jones.
those Indiana Jones scene? They're like walking into the side of a mountain with an old entryway carved in. That's crazy. So that's like an amazing success story. And at the same time, like a WTF in terms of putting a bid and a price and frankly, your name and reputation on something without fully understanding maybe all the ins and the outs. That sounds like that was one hell of a lesson.
So, you know, we came back, we're all stoked. We finished the job. We got sign off, right? We took a picture of the paper, right? Because that sign off is gold. We came back and it was crickets for like 5 or 6 weeks. On like, when would we get paid? I don't know. Who did you talk to? Like, who was our contact? Oh, they've moved on to another project. They're no longer there. You have to go into there's no portal. You know, so now they have a portal for payment, but you know, back then it was all email. Pretty awesome, huh?
That sounds terrifying. That's what that is. That sounds terrifying.
So it was I call it one of the coolest things we've ever done and one of the dumbest things we've ever done.
Yeah. But you learned some lessons. So what lessons, what were the takeaways from that?
Process. There has to be a process. Everybody has to follow it. The culture, our company culture, has to be everybody follows the process. You know, we've had people come and go here, and they don't follow the process, and now our culture weeds them out. It naturally pushes them out. But you know, we didn't follow the process with that, and by the time I found out about it, it was already a contract.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you that you guys made it through that and on the other side. And I'm sure there are plenty of people listening that have equally taken on projects only to realize the full scope and scale of that project. And sometimes it ends well and sometimes it doesn't end well. So this one ended well. Yeah. Question. So you are a musician. You mentioned that you played as a kid and you now have played all the way through adulthood. I know you still play. How do you play? Where do you play? When do you play? And how does that work its way into your, I'm going to say, the work side of your life? Does music come up, or the fact that you're a musician come up, and does that help in any way?
Yeah, so I went to San Jose State University out in San Jose, California, and I studied audio engineering. So that was my degree was in. And so the music part is I use a lot. I mean, when we're talking about doing large training rooms that seat, you know, 200 people, 250 people, when there's microphones and audio, high ceilings, acoustic, all those things. You know, most of the people that are facilitating getting a system upgrade or even designing a new system really like that. Not just myself, we have almost a third of our staff are musicians or have some sort of audio background or went to school for it. It becomes very important in those conversations. You know, you can't just slap microphones and a bunch of speakers in a room and a projector and make it sound good. You have to know audio. There's DSPs and mix minus and gates and all that kind of stuff that happens. So I use a lot in work, and then even on the residential side. right? If a homeowner wants to put in a 8-inch subwoofer and they're trying to save money, but they entertain a lot, and things get wild and crazy and Snoop Dogg's playing, they probably need a bigger subwoofer, right? So I talk about the why. Why is it more important to buy the bigger subwoofer? So I think it's probably used more than I even realize. Where do I play? So now I am a church drummer. So I basically play drums for my church. My wife and I go to a church here in Centennial, Colorado called Renovate. RenovateNow.org is a website. And it's a smaller church. So we used to play for larger churches, and we did a startup a few years ago with some friends, and it's going really well. But when we had a little more time, I mean, the business and our kids take a lot of time, and we enjoy that. We used to play for churches that needed substitute musicians. So maybe a church in Denver, their drummer doesn't show up, or they need a singer or whatever. We would go play and play with other musicians. It was a lot of fun. I actually miss that. So, Paul, you are so interactive.
He says, love church drummers. Rattle is my current favorite song. I don't know what he's referring to. Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
That's funny.
So yeah, I play twice a month. I want to keep up with it. I actually play piano too. And my wife is a phenomenal singer. There's some YouTube videos out there of us if you really want to go digging and you have nothing to do. But
well, I do have my team might go dig up some of those links and drop them into the show notes. So we might make it a little easier for the audience to find those on your show page or down on the notes here. That's funny. So to bring it to the present, you mentioned, or what I caught when we just started chatting, is that you said today, and it's September 2021, your business ratio commercial to resi is about 60-40. What was it pre-COVID?
So it was creeping towards 75 commercial, 25 residential. So I think we were in the low 70s. It was a good balance and a good mix. And a lot of people ask me, well, why do you guys do commercial? The margins are low, you don't get paid, this and that. It's actually somewhat true, but if you cherry pick your customers and you have good relationships and the whole trust thing and all that, it is a good market to be in. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have the right certifications, the right staff. But that's what it used to be. So, residential's grown, but now we're seeing this big wave with commercial, right? Zoom and Teams and Cisco WebEx and all those platforms. People come back to the office, they go in their meeting spaces, and they're like, we don't have a camera in here. Like, how are we gonna, the awareness is people are much more aware of that tech now, and they want it, which is awesome.
So what's changing? I mean, is everything different now out there in corporate America? Are they looking at the venue that was vacated with COVID, and now that people are coming back to the office, is it causing renovations top to bottom in terms of tech?
There's a few things going on. So there are the folks that come back, or the folks that invested while everybody was out. So some companies that were smart actually invested in their technology while everybody was out of the office. They remodeled, they had the cash and working capital to do that. They invested in the technology. Everybody came back, already done, boom, done, right? That's a dream client. The second thing is there's a shell game going on in commercial real estate. Most of you who are on this podcast probably know, commercial real estate and vacancy is way down. Like Denver was at 20% occupancy or less just a few months ago. I was in New York last month for the Snap One IPO, and when you looked at those office buildings during the day, they were empty. It's pretty scary. So you have that going on, and then you have people that are downsizing, subletting. Hey, we have 50,000 square feet. We really only need 10. And there's, I have a couple of CEOs that own commercial movie companies here in Colorado. Those guys are busy, and it's almost like little crabs moving shells back and forth. You know, the little crab or the big crab wants a little shell now, and it's really, really weird what's happening with that. And I'm not smart enough to know what it's going to ultimately turn into, but so it's a little bit of a mix what's happening in that.
But it does mean that there is money being spent more today, September 2021, than there was in the big scary slowdown in the commercial world. And it's because of the awareness of the consumer or their teams, their staff, and because of the shell game, moving spaces, recalibrating how much space they have or they need. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the leads that we receive, you know, we track leads by market, by type. So what does that mean? Is it a corporation? Is it a nonprofit? Is it a K through 12? Is it higher education? Is it a restaurant and bar? Is it hospitality? So, you know, if we process 500 leads a year, we categorize those in 8 to 10 buckets. And the demand for the corporate executive conference room has changed. It's gone down. And I think from what we see in our lead tracking, the large, giant training rooms where you pack a bunch of people together and train them all at once has changed. You know, maybe they're going to train 30 or 50 people in a room at once, and then they're going to live stream or record the rest and make it available later and have more of an archive system is kind of what we're seeing. And we're still doing those large rooms, but I think the demand has changed because people are scared to pack in a room, at least from a corporate standpoint.
Well, let's want to unpack that. I want to unpack that comment about packing into a room, and talk just for a minute about COVID. What are you guys doing? Are you guys masked up? Are you vaccinated in the office? Is everyone back in the office? Are you hybrid? What are you doing? And then I'd love to know, you said you're in a group of CEOs there in Denver. What does it seem to be consensus in that group? What is life like in Denver? And knowing we have a global audience here, so people are tuned in from our, you know, people that care about our industry, but they're located all over the planet. Really, I know they're all curious what life is like in Denver right now.
I'll get you later, Tyler. So the way we did COVID, as I mentioned before, is we did an office rotation, which was really nice. It gave people space. So we do have some shared office spaces, and we would rotate, you know, on Monday, a group of people would come in, on Tuesday, a different group of people would come in. So basically when we said, hey, let's have everybody back to the office, we did an advance notice, and then we kind of brought everybody back in. You know, we've got hand sanitizer around the office. If people want masks, I've got 1,000 masks in the warehouse. People can grab those. But really, since we've brought everybody back, the collaboration that happens here in person is so wonderful, right? There's some amazing conversations and ideas that happen at the coffee maker, the hallway talk. You know, back in the tech room, we have a room where we build all our racks and all that. I mean, people just hang out back there and they come up with the greatest ideas. That is so valuable. And, you know, to the CEO group that I'm in the community that I'm involved with, it's the same there. Having everybody together is so much different than virtually. Virtual is convenient. Don't get me wrong. I use it all the time. But being in person, I mean, we need each other, right? I mean, we're humans. We're designed to be around people, and, you know, like chickens.
I agree. We want to be together. There's no doubt. I mean, we just also watched the CEDIA trade show implode a couple of weeks ago. And there was because a lot of this, I'll just say, uncertainty around Delta, you know, and I'm sure there's more to that story, but that seems to at least be a high level take on the show. Do you mind if I get like specific with a couple of things in terms of like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys masking up in the office? Is that an optional thing?
It is optional. It's not required.
Okay.
And then as far as vaccinations, we are not requiring vaccinations, but my feedback to everybody is you don't have to share if you're vaccinated or not.
Okay.
If you're not, be respectful of those who are, and vice versa. But if someone who is not comfortable being around an unvaccinated person, if they know, just keep your distance. Don't drive with them. But I'll say that I've seen people at other companies and even our companies that maybe are conservative, and then on the weekends, they're doing things with larger crowds or whatever. And so it's all over the place. But at the end of the day, we really try to deliver the message that, don't be judged, don't make it, don't judge people, don't make it political, and let's just focus on the business, right? Let's respect each other. Because if it turns into a thing, it just distracts everybody from what we're all trying to accomplish, right? We're trying to be great at AV, and we don't want to be great at the topic of COVID or masks. That's not our job.
What seems to be consensus in the CEO group there in Denver that you're a part of? Similar theme?
It was bring everybody back to the office for sure. And the folks that are in my specific group, we actually meet here. The company's revenue ranges from $4 million to $110 million a year, right? So I respect those bigger companies, right? They're leading large organizations and large teams. They really try to get people back to the office as quickly as possible, because it did impact their business. Whether they were in tech, manufacturing, obviously you can't bring people home and work from home. But that was the consensus for sure.
Work-life balance. I know that you have made that a personal mantra. I don't know if it's a 2021 initiative or a 2020 initiative. Talk to me about that. What did you think about with your, yourself and your family that made you say, I'm gonna try to work out a better balance?
Well, I think like most people watching this, even just most people in America, like we can work ourselves to death, right? If you look at Europe and specific countries over in Europe, I mean, they take almost 2 months off or a month or whatever it is. Don't quote me. Calm down, everybody.
A lot more than America, for sure.
Yes. And I did that. I especially when the economy crashed in 2009, I worked myself to death. I got tendonitis. I did, tennis elbow surgeries and was miserable. And at some point, like, what's going to happen is going to happen, and you can't control everything. So, I mean, it comes in seasons. I put in the hours. I work hard, but I really try to play hard. We teach that here at our company. We talk about it from onboarding and hiring all the way to people that have been here a long time. Like, hey, you've got 200 hours of vacation. You need to use it. It's for you. So, my kids are old enough now where if I'm going to go somewhere for work, a ProSource thing, Total Tech Summit, whatever it is, I try to bring them. Like, let's find some stuff for us to do. Maybe we get there a day early. If we're doing a conference and there's a pool, most kids like pools and water slides. So I try to do that. Try to include the family and the wife. We fly with Southwest a lot. My wife has a companion pass. If you don't know what that is.
All right, you got to tell us. You told me about this just before we went live, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And all right, please do tell your secret.
Okay, so Southwest Airlines, a friend of mine, he works in government, flies all the time. Told me about the companion pass. So basically, if you have a Chase Southwest card, you can rack up a certain amount of points, and Southwest gives you a companion for 1 year. So 1 year, you can choose a friend or a family member to fly with you for free anywhere. Jamaica,
in the world.
Cancun, anywhere Southwest flies, and you only pay sales tax for that ticket. So when I book a ticket to Florida for $450, my wife flies for $13 because that's the tax on. So you have to fly there together. You have to fly back together. You can't, fly separate or do anything like that. But it's awesome. Now, if any of you look that up, you have to let me send you a link, because
we're going to drop it into the show notes because you're going to get something, right?
Woo! No, we both get something. So
yeah?
We both get points. So it's awesome. Little Southwest pitch. So we've been doing that for 4 years, and it's really allowed my wife and kids and I to do more stuff together, because we're not having to buy 4 tickets. We now can buy 3 tickets.
I I love that. I love that. What is, when you look forward to the next 6 to 12 months, right? So that's not too far. What in terms of technology, Shawn, has you excited? What's coming out, or maybe it's about to come into its own, that you know your customers are going to be jazzed about, or maybe just your team is jazzed about?
So I think lighting is a big one. We have dabbled and looked at lighting, but we never really got serious about it. You know, we've done the bring every new line in the door and try everything and go figure it out method. I think like most companies, we don't do that anymore. We're trying to get better at vetting things, letting our engineers play with things, really having a partner with a manufacturer instead of just selling everything to everybody. But lighting and lighting fixtures is big. I know there's a couple companies here in Denver that are very successful with it, and then friends of mine in other states. And so we're looking at that. You know, we have I'll keep the name out of it, but we have some lighting stuff here, low voltage lighting going on here at the showroom. Hey Amanda, good to see you. But we want to get more serious about it. So, you know, we've focused on reoccurring revenue. All right, we've all talked about that till we're blue in the face. So we finally got serious about that. We got that going. That's a well-oiled machine. I think lighting's really exciting. And the cost of video and audio distribution, that price point has really come down. And, you know, a product like Crestron Home, right, has been incredible. You know, custom Crestron has its place in the world. Don't get mad at me. But Crestron Home and even what Control 4 has done with their platform is incredible. It's incredible that a lead technician who has been in the industry for maybe 2 or 3 years can go out and program a $200,000 system. I love it.
So I want to pull a thread.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so let's pull a thread on that. Back in the day, I left Crestron in 2007, and I want to say that was just before Ping and Adagio and all of that jazz. And I saw some of that, you know, didn't necessarily go over too well. And bring it to the present, you know, John Clancy joins Crestron.
Yeah, he changed it.
He changed it.
He did. And it's amazing to me that Crestron let the reins loose and let it happen. Yeah, John Clancy was a very, very smart hire for Crestron. Very strategic, out of the box thinking. Take somebody who ran a very successful integration firm, who is a partner, equity partner, and, you know, very, very big change going to work for an integrator that long and owning a piece of it to going to work for a large manufacturer, $1 billion plus company. You know, Ping was what it was, and Adagio and all that. But the Crestron Home thing, we were all kind of sitting back watching. And then eventually I tried it in my house, and then we started deploying it all. It's game changer. They are doing very well with it. We are doing very well with it. And I know a lot of integrators out there are doing very well with it. So, and we do Control 4 and Crestron, and they both have their place, and we love both of those partnerships. We absolutely treasure those partnerships. But
where did you transition?
Crestron, go ahead.
I'd say, where did you transition from, you know, the world of everything was custom Crestron to the world of now this is custom Crestron over here and this is Crestron Home over there? Like, how do you differentiate that today?
It's a journey. So it's us listening 70-80% of the time and giving customers feedback and sharing stories. So as we go into a home, whether it's a new build or a retrofit situation, our job is to listen to how the customer is going to use the house. What do they want to integrate with? You know, are there drivers available? All that kind of stuff. But maybe they just want audio. Their video is not important. Maybe they have Lutron shades or screen innovations, or so there's a lot of variables. That's kind of the journey and path we go on with the customer or the designer to figure out what system is best, and that's how we help them decide.
I'm going to do a teach back to see if I heard you correctly. the determination of whether it's Crestron, custom Crestron or Crestron home is determined by the interview with the client and what needs to be integrated into the final solution. And that helps you go down path A or path B.
Yeah. And we have a programmer on staff, and we have outsourced programmers like many of you. And there is a fit for custom Crestron for sure, but there is a lot of applications that you can do with Crestron Home. We did a $750,000 job last year with Crestron Home. Shades, lighting, soup to nuts. It runs wonderful. It's running NVX in the background, 4K, the whole like.
Did John Clancy come out and visit you on that job?
No, he's all big time now.
Oh, I saw on social media. He visited you on a job site, and maybe last year.
Yeah. No, that was like 3 years ago. That was was the big party house we did. But no, he's been busy. He and I chat once in a while. We mostly work with his team, but I would love for John to come visit. It's been a while.
John, tune in. You got to go hang out with Shawn again. And I got to put these, Amanda's being very kind. She's like, Shawn is a rock star. Everyone should always take notes on what he says. I agree, Amanda.
No, I just share the horror stories of what I've done wrong.
Well, if you help others make less of those mistakes, then I think we all win. Yes. Amanda goes on to say, I love that you make sure to listen and then craft it for them. Yeah, it's based on the customer feedback. Now, help me understand, and the audience, when do you position Crestron Home versus Crestron Custom versus Control 4?
I don't think we should talk about that.
Is that too political? Will that get you in trouble?
Yeah.
All right, we won't go there.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I'll switch topics here because I know that you were so freely discussing Crestron. Yeah. I figured that would be an easy transition. I tried, folks. I tried. How was it going out to New York to the Snap One IPO? Well, I saw that all over social media. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we've done business. We're a sit and wait company. So when people moved over to oversee, we waited. We sat and waited. I watched all of my buddies, move over to oversee, and then so we've only been a Snap customer, a real Snap customer, actually doing some business for probably 3 years. So not that long. But once we started moving some lines over and consolidating and taking 5 relationships and trying to move them into 5 lines and move them into 2 lines, we really started to see a lot of success, a lot of wash, rinse, repeat in our designs, right? Sales guy A would design one system, sales guy B would design another system, sales guy C. We wanted everybody to sell and do the same thing, right? Standardization, white box, switches, all the stuff. So that we always know where the router is, we always know where the video switcher is, Comcast, etc. And we built a really good relationship with Snap. And our rep actually used to work for our company. His name is Brian Thompson. He's an incredible person. Been in the AV for a long, long time. But once I started to get to know the executives, the executive team, and even John Heyman, that culture at that company is incredible. Mm-hmm. Their people believe. When I was at the IPO party, their accounting person came up to me. I mean, they're drinking the Kool-Aid over there, but they actually really do believe in what they're doing as a company. And you want to talk about work-life balance. I mean, John and Jeff and Ryan, I mean, they all teach the employees that. And they have their power team, their executive team has run successful companies in previous years, and that's why they're doing it again with Snap. They just have an incredible culture. The people that they have are amazing. And they've brought people in from outside our industry.
Yeah. No, I think that's an amazing testament.
It was a lifetime experience to go to that. I had less than 24 hours notice, and I jumped on it so fast because I wanted to be a part of it. Like, they're an important partner of ours. Yeah. So, we try to not know 50 manufacturers. We want to be best partners with like 8, like 6 or 8. And that's what we're striving to do.
It sounds like very wise words, and I often internally cringe if I don't externally cringe when I talk to a business owner and I ask him about lighting and they name 4 brands, and I ask them about control and they name 3, 4, 5 brands, and they could be a small business, a $1 to $10 million a year business, and I'm like, supporting one vendor is hard enough. How in the world can you support all of these vendors, much less your poor team that is trying to support all of these lines? I mean, you, in some sense, ask the impossible of them, for them to be experts across this such a wide diversity of technologies that are constantly changing. So that's definitely very wise. I want to close on this. I'm mindful of time. We're at the top of the hour. Can we focus just for a minute or two on leadership and the idea, Shawn? What does it mean to be a good leader? And what would you, knowing there are others out there going to be listening and tuning into these words, what do you think is advisable for them to consider if they themselves want to be a good leader? And I'm calling you a great leader for your team and the industry.
Let's go with good leader. Great will be hopefully maybe when I'm 70, but even then, I think it's a lifelong journey to figure that out. From the books and the groups and my own experience and, friends in the industry, out of the industry, if I was to summarize it, the leadership thing is to serve others. So help people be successful in their position, take people's talents and gifts and help push them forward. Our programmer is a good example. He was a technician at another company and just was a technician and never got the chance. He is a phenomenal programmer. He's the guy, one of those guys who can figure out anything software. And then, Gail, our procurement person here who manages all of our purchasing and everything, she buys almost $3 million a year in dealer cost of product. She started out as our office cleaning person and our front reception person, and she's incredible. So recognizing people's gifts and what drives them and trying to get them in the position to do that. Jim Collins, right seat on the right bus. Mm-hmm. That is, I think, the majority of my job as a leader is to try and discern and pick that out in people and try to, hey, you're over there doing, install, but you really like to troubleshoot and fix things. You should do service. Service is troubleshooting and fixing stuff all day, right? It takes a special person to go run into a problem 5-6 times a day and try to figure it out and go home at 5.
And what magic happens when you identify that in them and you help them transition? What have you witnessed happen?
Wonderful. It's I get so excited, even almost tear up to watch someone thrive. I mean, completing a job and seeing everything work and happy customers is definitely a reason I get out of bed. But the second reason is to watch people succeed. I love when people buy houses, have babies, buy cars, like, hey, I just got a new car, or I'm debt free or whatever it is. So I love that. That's fun.
We have a few, Amanda is saying, wise man, great advice. I agree, Amanda. And Brian, good. Thanks for tuning in. He says, that's a great mindset for a real leader. Couldn't agree more. Well, Shawn, the time is the time, and we are out of it. Thank you for coming on show 187. I see the thank you sign. Thank you for that. It was a pleasure having you on the show, man. We can't wait another 186 shows to have you back on.
Appreciate the time. Good chatting with everybody. Thanks everybody for watching.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Shawn. All right, folks, there you have it. The one and only Shawn Hansson, CEO and founder of Logic Integration. Definitely be sure to check them out. I'll put his email and web. Actually, I see my team dropping it down into the show notes right now as we speak. So definitely be sure to get in touch with Shawn. And thank you all, as always, for tuning in. And I know we My team is working feverishly behind the scenes on putting these shows on. There's a lot of people at One Firefly involved. And it takes a village to make this happen. And so special thanks to all the One Firefly team members that are working on this. And thanks to all of you for watching live and watching on the podcast. If you have not already done so, definitely go to your favorite podcast app, check out Automation Unplugged. You'll hear this audio interview with Shawn that'll pop in middle of next week, usually about a week or so in arrears on getting those live. And I will see you all next week. We'll see you all next week for the next show, and be well. Stay safe. Let me get my artwork prettied up here. There we go. Ciao.